Okay, everyone, welcome to my track session here at CollabSphere 2021, sponsored by all these great sponsors here on the screen. So my name is Lance Zakin, and I'm a senior Notes Domino admin and developer at Notes Mail and HCL business partner with experience spanning over 20 years. I worked at dozens of projects across many industries. One thing I did the other year was I helped fix the OpenNTF Domino CMS tool, which stopped working with Domino 10.01 Fixpack 4 web server. And I've written many articles in Lotus Advisor magazine years ago and NetConnect UK Groupware magazine, and contribute to a lot of tech tips and blogs and social media. And started with Notes actually a long time ago, Notes 3.0c. All right. Okay, so this session's Dev 116, vaccinate your Domino environment and boost security with Crucial Notes tools. Crucial Notes tools is a software suite designed to allow better, stronger, faster productivity for Domino admins and Notes developers. In this session, we will focus on the admin security tools rather than the dev tools, including topics such as prevent hacking Domino web servers and remove phishing email from all user mailboxes. The suite includes tools for reporting, security, auditing, attachment compression, message migration, phishing email removal, centralized message recall for IT help desk, email marketing, mail merging, barcoding, fax and voicemail, mailbox stationery manager, and web date picker with calendar pop-up reminders. So the first main topic out of these two main topics is prevent hacking Domino web servers. There's at least 7 steps which will protect your Domino web server from hackers and closed vulnerabilities. Some customers have only 1 or 2 of these steps completed, which is quite alarming from a security standpoint. If these steps are not performed on your Domino server, then an authenticated user with minimal access rights can A, assume the identity of a Domino administrator, B, attain access to all web user credentials, including usernames, passwords, and internet addresses, and C, attain operating system level access. So, it's quite important to lock down the web server with these different steps if you're not aware of them already. Okay, here we go. So step number 1 out of 7 is prevent unauthorized access to the Domino server databases, mailboxes by identifying security holes and access control lists. So we want to find out, step 1, let's look at the ACLs. So you could, using this tool here called the Acl Dominator, you could generate ACL reports, including expanding nested group ACL entries using the Acl Dominator in the Notes Crucial Tool Suite. And B, review the reports to see if any unauthorized users inadvertently have access to each database or mailbox. And C, fix ACL issues discovered in these reports, including any changes required to the Domino Directory person or group documents. So let me just give you a quick tour of Acl Dominator before we proceed rather quickly with the next 6 steps. So I'm just going to spend some more time on this step here. So hold on 1 second while I stop the sharing and send it over to a video. This is a pre-recorded video about this tool. Okay. Okay. Acl Dominator for Hcl Notes is an administration, reporting, and management security tool for mailboxes and databases. It's platform independent and can run on any Domino server operating system. Reports can assist Domino administrators to fix security holes, optimize server performance, and prepare for a message migration. It allows access control lists to be quickly audited and easily managed across all Domino servers, as well as report on database properties, mailbox preferences, and user activity. It could also report on nested groups, and you could export the nested groups and any of the other reports to Excel. Okay, so let me go down on some of the key features about this product. Now, although it's called Acl Dominator, it does many other features as well, so don't get confused by the name. So let's open this up. Here we go. So you could report, manage, analyze, audit, export, update all access control lists. This is useful to fix security holes. Advanced database properties reports. Useful to verify databases are using the latest Domino compression and optimization. Mailbox database document count reports. Useful to identify mailbox and databases which require archiving. It shows the document counts for each database, which is useful. Full text index reports. Useful to optimize server performance by identifying non-critical mailbox and databases using the immediate frequency option, which should ideally be changed to hourly or daily. Mailbox delegation reports. Useful for message migrations. If you migrate to a new platform, you might have forgot about the delegation for each mailbox, and this will let you generate a report to fix any issues with that, and to keep it in sync on the new platform. Mailbox user activity reports. Useful to identify mailboxes which can be retired. Application activity reports. Useful to identify users who have the wrong access rights. Mailbox rule reports. Useful to identify which users created mail rules to forward emails via the send action. For example, IT corporate policy that you're not allowed to auto forward emails usually to your private address outside the company. That's a great feature to have. Primary, alias, and forwarding email address reports. This is useful to identify all valid email addresses in your Domino Directory, which is a very useful report to have. Group reports. Useful to identify mailbox database access issues using heavily nested groups. Mailbox owner reports, including changing owner ACL. Useful to force mailbox access of all mailbox users to editor. If you want to drop all mailbox users, their ACL from designer to editor, you could quickly do it here. For example, you'd specify $$ mailbox owner reserved word as the ACL entry in the tool when performing ACL updates. It'll know what that means. It means only update the mailbox owner in each mailbox. DOS reporting, including logical, physical, and DOS size. Useful to identify attachment consolidation, disk space savings. Now, let me just explain how you install this tool. It's essentially a Notes database template. You can install it locally or on the server. We recommend to install it on the server since it generates some reports significantly faster, and you could access more features by doing that. So let me just do a quick installation here, show you how it installs very quickly. It just opens this up for just information purposes. And over here, you're going to click yes to install, and it's completed. So over here, I'm just going to close this software license. You accept it, and that's it. Once it's on the local, that installs it locally. You want to copy it to the database server. I assume everyone knows how to copy from local a database to the server. And I already did that here, as you can see. And over here, you can see it already generated all these reports. This is like snapshots in time of the ACL entries. You can see in this version, in this report, it's scheduled to generate by month. So you could go back, for example, in September or August to see what the ACL used to look like for a specific database, which is very handy. This could go back years. Whereas other ways, the Domino might have it somewhere in the catalog or something, and that purges, so it doesn't really help you much if you get audited. And this one actually reports on every database physically in the directory as well. So in your Domino data folder, I mean. So to schedule it, you click the schedule button. Then using your Notes ID, your current Notes ID, which is the Domino administrator usually, you'd click Enable Scheduler. Now, even though you're the Domino admin, you might not have access to every database. So as soon as you click this to enable the scheduler, you would go into the admin client and right-click the tool, and then click Sign with the server's ID, and then you would sign it. And it has all these different options. You could enable the report to include database properties, mailbox preferences, sent activity, which is the last time a mailbox user sent an email, which is great to see if it's being used, the mailbox. See if anyone has out of office enabled, and mailbox rules. You could include application activity. You could also change it to run these reports daily, weekly, monthly, and at different times. Let me close this. If you wanted to run the report from the Notes client, you could click the report button. It'll run much slower. And you have the similar options here. If you do this, though, it's highly recommended, even though you're the admin ID, to go here and enable full access administration in the Notes client before running this. Okay. You could also do, there's also an update feature. The Domino admin client, you could do updates too, but this one's allows you to do updates as well. And the interesting thing here was what I mentioned earlier, is that you could specify this reserved word called $ mailbox owner, which will update only the mailbox owner of each mailbox, for example, from designer to editor. That's pretty handy to have, this feature. Okay, so now over here you have different reports. Obviously, you could view the reports by access, author, depositor, designer here. ACL size, which is the total size of the ACL physically, meaning all the characters of the ACL entries added up. Sometimes if you go over a limit, you can't open the database anymore. I'm not sure if that's still true for R12, but you could spot them right away over here in this report. Advanced by consistent ACL, maximum internet access. By entry, you have by invalid entry. This will show you entries which are not in the primary address book, so you could do a cleanup, remove these from the ACLs. This verify button, basically, you click this verify button, and it lets you run a check of the report entries against the address book. If it finds they're not in the address book, you'll see a big red X next to each entry here. Or you could just click this report, it'll show you them right away over here. You could also report by invalid entry by database title, by replica ID, by title, by unreported database. Nothing's here but right now, but usually if it's a replica stub or it's corrupted, it'll show here. So you could be proactive. By user type, you could see over here, it'll let you show by user type. Okay. Now also I wanted to talk to you about exporting and also nested groups. So here's local domain admins group. If you click expand group, it'll give you some options here. You could expand it one at a time, manually, or semi-manually, or let it do them all, including nested. So let's just do semi-manually here, semi-automatic, I should say, and it shows you what's in that group. And if there's more groups in here, you could drill down and keep going through to see what's going on. If you want to report just to see everybody, all the nested groups, you could, for example, let's export this report. Expand all, first of all. Then click Export Report. And it says, do you want to expand ACL group entries, including nested groups? Over here, I'll click No for now, just to show you how it is, just to export the report that you see on the screen. What you see is what you get. That's why I expand it all. And then once it's here, you can manipulate it and format as you want. All right, I'm going to close this report, and then I'm going to export it using the other option. Include nested groups, yes. I'm going to say yes. And then I'm just going to do first level. It's going to take too long. We have a time limit here for this demo. So as you can see in the bottom Notes status bar, it's running in the background Notes client thread. It's exporting all the databases and mailboxes in this report and expanding the nested groups. And let me show you the two important columns here, which would be entry and member of the group. So inside the ACL, it originally was local domain admins was an ACL entry. What it did is it expanded the nested group and showed you that inside local domain admins you had Domino template and Joel Michaels and Lance and Ryan, etc. And you can see it did this for this other group. Group 2 had group 1 within it, etc. And now you wanted to see what was in group 2. you'd run the other report option, which expands all nested subgroups. That would take a long time usually, but it's very flexible. This report's very handy. You can easily spot if the wrong people have access to databases, etc. Let's close that out. Let's take a look at database property reports. You have DOS enabled. You have DB modified dates report. You have design by category. You have by inherit database template. You have by is design template. Domino admin file tab. This is the tab that you might look familiar to you. It's in the Notes Domino admin client under the Files tab, and you might want to export all this. You find it hard to export. You might be able to print it, but you want to export it. You could use our tool. Exactly the same information will get exported. You just click the export button as we showed you prior, and it'll export this out. Be sure to expand all first. Full text index reports by enabled. It'll show you which databases have full text indexes enabled. It'll show you the last time of the index. It'll show update frequency of the database, which is great to see. Replication disabled. It'll show you which databases are replications disabled in the report. Size by DOS size by document count. This is a handy one. You can see the document count of each database. It's good to see if anything needs to be archived. You could do the database logical size. It'll show you the size of the database, which is good too. And you can see if something might need to be archived as well by seeing this report. So let's go down to see some more reports. You have mailbox reports here by delegation. This is a great way to do reports. You can see who is delegated to each mailbox, read-write access, etc. It's good for a mail messaging migration. You could do a delegation report, and you could then apply that delegates to the new mail platform. Mail rules, nothing showing here in our company at least, but this is what I was talking about, where you could see if you could spot if a user is trying to send things automatically to a private email address. Very handy. Mailbox activity shows you the last time someone sent an email out of their mailbox, so you can see if a mailbox is being used. Reports by mailbox owner, etc. By mailbox owner alias email. So in your Domino directory, you'll have all different aliases. It's hard to figure out a report unless you're using this tool to see all the aliases, forward addresses, etc. You can do it here, out of office. Then you have user activity reports. It shows you, who's been accessing these databases. This could be snapshots in time going back. You could see who's accessed this a year ago. This interface might look familiar. It's also in the notes log, but the notes log has a limit. It purges after 7 days. You could set it higher, but the notes log database gets too big. You could have performance issues. But here, you could save things forever. And if you get audited, this is a very handy tool to go back very many months to see who's accessing databases. Okay, so I think I know it's a quick overview, but we have a time limit here. If you have any questions, feel free to contact support. We could help you with that and with any more of your questions. So I'd like to thank you for attending this demo, and have a great day. Hello, everyone. I'm back. Just trying to make sure that video ended properly. Okay. So let's see. We were last over here. In the chat window, just type something in the chat window if you could see this. I'm just trying to make sure it's working properly. Okay, so we just finished prevent hacking Domino web servers from number 1. So now we're going to move on to screenshot 2. Okay. And step number 2 to prevent hacking is preventing hackers from decrypting the hash domino web passwords. Now, web authenticated hackers with minimal access. There's an issue with the Domino Web Administrator database. So basically, the issue here is that they could basically possibly get into your operating system. So the action required is to delete the webadmin.nsf and its template webadmin.ntf. And B, Notes ID and web authenticated hackers with minimal access. What you're going to do here, you want to enforce a consistent ACL on the Domino directory and then enable extended access. And there's all these steps here that you could follow, and take a look at this slide after the demo is completed if you want all the details. And as you can see, it's pretty lengthy instructions to work with the extended access and extended ACL. See notes on the next page. Let's see. So basically with the extended ACL, it's basically trying to hide the HTTP password field, which is the web password, from all users except for, the Domino administrator and the servers. It's trying, so anyone with minimal access can't actually open the address book and see what the password is by using, doc properties or export. And when I say see the password, see the encrypted, hashed version of the password, and then use some programs to, dehash it and break it. Step 3 is prevent hackers from displaying all Domino directory users, like, the weblog on usernames. You don't want people or anyone with minimal access to even see the usernames. So basically here, hackers would, if they could get the username, they'll try to send emails and phishing and things like that, which is why this step 3 is kind of important. What you would do here is you open, the advanced settings, and you'd use what's called the max internet name and password on the ACL of the Domino directory. For example, you could set it to no access. Now there's some, caveats of doing that. Basically, the user will still be able to change their password, their web password on the website, even if you change it to no access. And one of the things from an application standpoint is that @db lookups that might be looking up to the Domino directory might start to fail. So you got to be very careful when setting this. And one of the I guess recommended ways of doing this with applications is to store, maybe store these groups or lookups in the application itself in a view, or maybe into an external secondary directory. All right, so let's move on here to number 4. Prevent hackers from quickly decrypting Domino hash passwords if they attain access to Domino directory. So you want to enable stronger Domino web encrypted hash passwords. So for this action to fix this issue, you're going to increase the use more secure internet passwords field. Basically, you open up the Domino directory, you click Actions, Edit Directory Profile, and you can make that setting. But once that setting's changed, you have to enforce it. It might not activate until the user actually changes their password, which could be several months from now. So what you want to do is you want to click on each user's person record. You could click Force User to change the internet password. And if you don't want to go edit every person's record there, you could create a quick formula agent in the Domino directory, field HTTP password force change equals 1 as seen to accomplish that. Number 5 out of the 7, prevent hackers from guessing Domino web passwords with several repeated attempts. So in this scenario, you have to enable the Domino internet password lockout feature. All right, and the action required would be to create the internet password lockout database itself using the template in the Domino root folder, and then you'd edit the Domino web server configuration record and click Security tab and change the settings as seen below. And you have to restart the Domino HTTP server task. Number 6 over here is prevent hackers from guessing Domino web passwords using data dictionaries with trivial passwords. So basically, you want to increase the Domino web password requirements using a Domino security policy. And the action required would be, to create or edit your existing Domino security policy and change quality, for example, to quality 13. There's a whole quality table that you could find in the Domino admin help knowledge database. And B is to force the user to change the password on the next login as well. So same instance as previously. You want to force them to make the change so the strong password activates. And you could do that again by checking a box in each person's record to force change, or write that quick little formula agent as seen on the screen. Okay. Number 7, prevent hackers from easily guessing simple Domino web login usernames. Basically, Domino by default allows multiple usernames for each user, including first name, last name, short name, etc. This could potentially allow a user with a unique first or last name to be guessed by a hacker, like John, Jill at company.com or something like that. So in order to prevent that, you'd open up the Domino Directory, edit the web server record, click the security tab, and make a change to the field internet authentication field to make it to fewer name variations with higher security. Okay, so we just finished up on that topic of the 7, security steps to prevent web hacking on the Domino server. Now this other topic, let's check the time. Looks like we got plenty of time. Went faster than I thought. This one's going to be a demo on removing phishing email from all user mailboxes. So basically, 1% of spam could still get into your company, even though you have a spam solution. And what do you do when that happens? If it's phishingware, some user gets to it, opens it up, you might compromise your whole company and ransomware might be activated. So let me start a short video, and just to give you a quick little demonstration on this tool in the Notes Crucial Tool Suite called Total Recall for Notes. Total Recall for HCL Notes allows IT help desk and Domino admins to remove phishing email sent by an external sender from all mailboxes, and also allows the recall of internally sent email. For example, if multiple users receive a suspicious or malicious email from an external sender, it can be recalled in a single click. And if an internal user sends a confidential email to the wrong person, or a terminated employee sends a malicious email, it can be recalled in a single click. And it could also be configured to allow end users to recall their own messages. Total Recall can protect your network from hackers if phishing emails slip undetected into user mailboxes. And it could be your insurance policy to prevent possible legal disasters costing millions of dollars, for example, as seen with incidents in the media and automotive industry. Okay, so in this demo, we're going to talk more about phishing removal from mailboxes rather than message recall, which message recall is native feature of Notes and Domino. Although in this message recall tool, it actually allows an IT help desk to recall a message on behalf of anyone in the company, even if they're not an official delegate. So let's get into it right now. Let's talk about how to get it installed. Basically, it's an installation process. You would install it. It installs it locally. It's essentially a Notes template. And then once it's locally, you would copy it, do a database copy to the server. So here's some installation instructions. The first section talks about how to install it on a single Domino mail server. And the next section talks about how to install it on a hub and spoke mail server network. Okay, so let me show you how to install it. give you a quick demo. Okay, so it's an executable, or you could take the template out of the zip file. So I will install it now. Here we go. Ask for a password. And this temporarily pops up for informational purposes. Let me close this. Click yes to install. Setup has been completed. Okay, so we're going to close this, agree to the license, and it's installed locally. Now what you do then is you copy it to the server using a database copy. I assume everyone knows how to do that, and I've already done that for you as seen here. This is on the server. So one of the steps was to click the Enable Scheduler button. It's in the instructions here. So I'm going to click Enable Schedule. Now you're going to click that using a Notes ID that has, I'm going to click OK here. So you're going to click that button using an ID which has, which is listed in the Domino Directory server document in the sign or run unrestricted methods and operations. So that's what I just did there. And once you do that, and you only have to click this button once, you go to the Domino Administrator and you're going to sign the database using the server ID. So you're going to right click it. This is the database tool. And then click sign and use the server ID. You click that and it's signed. The reason for that is to give it access to all the users' mailboxes. Okay, let me just open this again. Hold on a second. Okay, so let me show you the profile, which allows you to configure how you like to have these phishing emails removed and also message recall. So right over here, there's many different options. We have time limit and recall once. These are pretty self-explanatory. Unread status, you have selected recipients, you have recall inbox only, yes or no. You have recall rule type, reader security, stub messages, status report. So once something's recalled, a status report is sent back to the sender and also to the user's mailbox in which it was removed. Now this is optional. It's set to optional, so when you do the phishing removal, you could just click no, not to even let them know, not to let the mailbox owner know that anything's been removed. And in the phishing removal, this is the section I'd like to talk about. Basically, you add a group from the Domino Directory. And this is a group we have. And right now, for test purposes, I put 5 users in this group. And 3 of the users have a phishing email that was sent to them from outside the company. And you could also have nested groups within this group, which is fine. It's just you'd usually make it, this group would contain all the users in your company. So if it's nested, it'll figure that out. Spam duration 1 day. Usually when you get a phishing, when you get the IT help desk gets notified of phishing issues, it's probably usually in the same day. So we just set it to 1 day. If you think it's going to be, if it's over like a weekend or something, you always change this to 3 days or whatever you'd like to do, depending on what issue happened in your company with phishing emails. Archive set to yes. Basically, when all emails were removed from each mailbox, you could save them in another database for audit purposes. So if you had 100 mailboxes and phishing email was removed from each of them, you'd have 100 copies sent into here. And then you have a disclaimer and logging level, etc. Okay, so let's close this. And let's move over to, let's do some real life a recall. So right now, I'm going to recall from, let's say a user named Joel reported that they got a phishing email, and some other users called with the same issue. We're going to click remove phishing email. It's then going to ask you which user got the phishing email. You could pick any user, even if several got the same one. We're going to pick Joel Michaels. And then you're going to select the email. So in this case, the email that we're looking for was help cut your energy bill this fall, was reported received by several users in the company, for example. So we click OK. It says verify the Domino Directory group below contains all the Notes Mail users. In this case, we're just using this group. This is how the phishing removal works. So we're going to click yes. Recall spam using exact subject match. I'm going to say no. Recall spam using wildcard padding matching. Or click no to specify partial match. Let's do no for a partial match. Wildcards, you could use asterisks, etc. Different symbols that are explained if I would have clicked yes. But I'm going to click no. And in this case, I'm just going to click. We could use this whole thing, but let's say each user said it was slightly different. It said by this fall, autumn, or summer. Let's just do help cut your energy bill. So we'll click OK. Even if they read it, remove it, yes. Leave a stub message in the mailbox? No. Let's not leave a stub. Send recall status report for each recipient? Let's click no. Let's not let them even know about it. And then click OK. So right now you see I'm the one who initiated the recall of the phishing email, and it's currently processing. It's in a queue, so it'll activate anywhere within immediately to 5 minutes. It checks every 5 minutes the queue to see what's going on. I'm going to close this, and I'm just going to wait a little bit longer to see what happens. Okay, as you can see, it just said completed. It was marked completed. And this is a twisty that you could open to see what happened, the status. It says message recall status warning. So there's a warning, which usually the warning means that it wasn't removed from all users, which is possible because it didn't go to all of them. Let's open that up. If it was successful, it would just say successful. That would mean it was recalled from all users. So let's open this up. As I mentioned earlier, I said 3 of the users got the external phishing email, and it shows you here that they recalled, the status, the date, the servers. These 2 users did not have the phishing email, so it says not recalled. I'll give you some reasons why. Message has been deleted by recipient or not delivered yet. In this case, they just never got it because it's a phishing email. And let's close that. So that's basically how it works. I just wanted to show you a quick demo on how the phishing emails recalled, and it could be used. It's a very good tool to use because usually sometimes 1% of spam gets into your company, and if it's phishing an email, it could be game over, ransomware. So that's why this tool was designed. So I'd like to thank you for your time, and I appreciate you watching this demo. Have a good day. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining this meeting.